Welcome to Simple Fixins. Today we're going to be talking about things you're going to use in your lawn.
Lawnmowers, weed eaters, leaf blowers, the whole shebang.
I'm Ross Struess.
And I'm Will Amio.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Simple Fixins. We're going to start this whole episode off with a lawnmower.
A lawnmower basically is the key to working in your yard. Typically, the motors in a lawnmower are Briggs & Stratton motors, so if you worked on one, you can pretty much work on any of them. Few things are the same as working on your car, though. However, you still need to check the oil, you still need to add gas. And Will, what is that over there?
This is your air filter. Basically, it works the same as a car. It filters the air that goes into the carburetor, which delivers fuel to your engine. You're going to need to clean this, which we'll do later on in the episode, and we'll show you how to do that.
We'll also be talking to you on how to prime your motor when you get ready to start it. We'll explain how it starts, and we will show you how to start your mower via the pull cord, of course. So we're going to start right now by checking the oil in here, and it works much the same way as a car does. You untwist it, and take a look at this and see where we're at as far as oil. As you can see right here, we are actually in the full line. There might be a little too much oil in there, but that's nothing to worry about. Better a little too much than not enough. So after you get your dipstick back in there, the next thing you want to do before firing up your mowers, you need to check and see how much gas you have in there, Will Amio. Why don't you check that out?
So when you're filling gas, it's pretty simple. This just spins off just like your regular car, and we're just going to leave that right there. Make sure we don't lose that. That'd be terrible. We're going to grab a jerry can, and this is just a portable thing for carrying gas. And we're just going to quickly fill up, watching carefully to make sure we don't overfill. So now we have our oil and we have enough gas to start this thing up.
There's one more thing we need to do yet, though, and that is we need to clean the air filter, or at least check and see how dirty it is. And that is over here on this side over here. Will, if you would go ahead and take that off. Sometimes there's actually a screw in here you need to undo. In this case, there's just a little turn knob right there you have to undo to get to the air filter.
And again, this varies from mower to mower, but this one's a pretty simple system. This whole hinge just comes right off, and here is your air filter. And as you can see, it's pretty messy. So Ross is going to tell you how to clean one of these.
Alright, so the first thing you want to do, at least in my experience, is you need to try to get all the junk off of it as much as you can before you go to try to clean it out. Which means you're going to do a lot of hitting things around here. Getting it out. Don't forget, if you're not getting dirty, you're not doing it right, and this is one of those cases. You can see there's a little oil in there too. It's okay. Nothing to be worried about. Okay, now that we got most of the stuff off there, I'm going to ask Will to get the gas can once again. And what we're going to do is we're going to pour a little bit of gas on top of this and basically try to rub some of this, the dirt out of the filter itself. So as he pours a little bit on there. Okay. And as you can see, if you want to come over here, Dan, gas is clear. It's definitely not water, but as you can see, after we poured that in there, a lot of dirt came out from the filter right there. So basically what we can do now is, since we poured the gas over that, we've got a good portion of the dirt out there. Kind of squeeze it together a little bit and get as much of the gas out of there as you can. It's not a big deal because this is the air filter for the carburetor, and basically what your primer does is pulls gas into the carburetor. If your filter is really dirty and running some gas through it and hitting it around trying to clean it off is not getting the job done, you can just go to your nearest hardware store and buy a new one. They're not very expensive, so that shouldn't be that big of a deal. So the next thing we want to do, Will, if you want to take this, is you want to put your air filter back where you got it out of. Set it back in there. In this case, this one hinges on there like Will said, and then just put it back on there and screw it back in. Welcome back to Simple Fixins. Will Amiel is now going to show you how to start your lawnmower and explain the ignition system.
This does not have a starter, and also it does not have the same injection and cylinder system as your standard mower. Most cars are 4-stroke engines. This is what we call a 2-stroke. What that means is through its rotation, it does all 4 stages of combustion in just 2 main steps, which is really convenient when you're just making small, easy-to-use mowers like this. And now, what this pull cord does is it rotates the crankshaft and starts the piston on its combustion sequence. So once it gets through a couple times, it should catch the spark plug will ignite the gasoline that's there, and it'll start right up. What you're going to want to do is you're going to pull down the top bar. This bottom bar is actually for power assist when you're mowing. And you're going to pull back on this pull cord. Now let's see how many times it takes me to get this thing started. Now remember, when you're starting your mower for the first time after a while, like in the spring, it is going to take a little bit. I mean, when your mower sits, it gets all kind of grime on the cylinders. Certain things aren't going to move the way they used to. Certain things aren't going to be as clean as they used to. So it is going to take a little while.
Happen to anyone.
It happens all the time, even here.
A lot of people don't realize that when they're walking around the college campus, people they see every day could be, survivors of sexual assault.
A lot of people might have experienced sexual violence, maybe not on campus, but within their immediate families or with a close relative or friend that they might have known.
Young people would just think we're invincible.
It's a very emotionally powerful subject.
And so thinking that one night, day, any time that this could happen to you is just kind of unfathomable to people our age.
Always have, a group of friends that knows where you're going, what your plans are.
I think that everyone deserves an advocate for these things that are hard to talk about.
Most importantly, be educated about sexual violence.
It can happen to anyone.
Welcome back to Simple Fixins. I'm Ross Drews. Along with me, Will Amio, and it's time to move on to the next piece of equipment that's crucial to working on your lawn, and that is the weed eater. In this case, this is a gas power weed eater. The engine, for the most part, is still the same. It's still a two-cycle motor for that matter. The only main difference is the fuel. And in this case, there is no separate compartment for your oil in a weed eater engine. And what they do is they actually mix the oil in with the gasoline. So if we bring this around right here and we open up the fuel, you can actually see that the oil is mixed in with the gasoline. You can see it's shaded a little bit darker color in there. The next thing we want to do, now that you know that the oil is in with the gasoline, we need to try to start this thing. We flipped it around so you can see the engine a little bit better. In this particular weed eater, it has an off and on switch. You need to flip it on first, and then there's a switch in the back here that starts on run, so you need to have it on run. Also, you need to understand there's a trigger down here, much like on the mower, where there's a run handle on the top that cuts the engine off when you let go of it. This won't cut the engine off. The trigger down here won't cut the engine off, but this is what you use to get the wheels spinning down on the end, and you have to use it to turn the throttle up on the weed eater motor. We're going to show you how to start this Ryobi weed eater now. You're going to start on the far left side where it says choke. You can go ahead and grip the handle down here and give it a pull. Make sure you're in the on position and that the weed eater is primed. Okay, once you get that to sound like that, you're going to move it over to the center stage to start it. And then over to run. And now we got it running. Now you roll. And that is how you get a weed eater to run.
To anyone.
It happens all the time, even here.
A lot of people don't realize that when they're walking around the college campus, people they see every day could be, survivors of sexual assault.
A lot of people might have experienced sexual violence, maybe not on campus, but within their immediate families or with a close relative or friend that they might have known.
Young people would just think we're invincible.
It's a very emotionally powerful subject.
And so thinking that one night, a day, any time that this could happen to you is just kind of unfathomable to people our age.
Always have, a group of friends that knows where you're going, what your plans are.
I think that everyone deserves an advocate for these things that are hard to talk about.
Most importantly, be educated about sexual violence.
It can happen to anyone.
Welcome back to Simple Fixins. We are moving on to our final tool that you can use out in the yard, and that is the ever handy leaf blower. Will?
All right, this is actually a combination leaf blower and vacuum. You can change the setting right here so that you can either blow leaves off your lawn onto your neighbors, or you can vacuum up leaves and then mulch them into a bag that we can attach really quick here.
The bag on this particular machine actually gets clipped onto the bottom here. You got to have it lined up right or it won't go on. You twist it in to lock it in, and then if Will was out doing this, he could just throw the bag right over his shoulder, plug it in, and away he goes. He can suck up dry leaves and it will mulch them and bag them for him, so all he has to do is then dump them into the trash container to be picked up by the mulching guys at the end of the week.
One of the advantages to this leaf blower is that it is electric powered. Of course, you're going to have a cord dangling out behind you, but you're also not going to have to spend 20 minutes trying to start it, and you don't have to recondition it in the beginning of the spring.
One other thing I would add here is he's holding on to it is if in the event a stick gets sucked up into the mulcher here and it gets stuck, there's actually a button you can push to take off the head, and as you can see the mulcher part in right there, and you can get to it, you can unplug the actual tube or you can unplug the mulcher in here. Before you do that, I would definitely advise unplugging the machine so you don't actually turn it on while you have a finger in there.
Yeah, you can always turn it off with this switch, but we always advise that extra step of safety that could save a finger or, you know, your eyes. So always take the extra step of safety when you're disassembling a piece of equipment.
It can happen to anyone.
It happens all the time, even here.
A lot of people don't realize that when they're walking around the college campus, you know, people they see every day could be, you know, survivors of sexual assault.
A lot of people might have experienced sexual violence, maybe not on campus, but within their immediate families or with a close relative or friend that they might have known.
Young people would just think we're invincible.
It's a very emotionally powerful subject.
And so thinking that one night, a day, any time that this could happen to you is just kind of unfathomable to people our age.
Always have, you know, a group of friends that knows where you're going, what your plans are.
I think that everyone deserves an advocate for these things that are hard to talk about.
Most importantly, be educated about sexual violence.
It can happen to anyone.
That has been another episode of Simple Fixins. Today we showed you how to work on your lawnmower and get it ready to mow your lawn, as well as proper fuel preparation and how to start your weed eater, along with safety tips.
We also went over the basic operation of this leaf blower and some applications you might use it for. For more, or to leave in a question, a comment, or an idea for a future show, please go to simplefixin.wordpress.com.
I'm Ross Drews.
And I'm Will Amio.
And remember, if you didn't get dirty, you didn't do it right.